What is up, everybody? Thank you for joining Three Sport Podcast today. I'm here with Austin Pekarek once again. What is up, Austin?
Not too much. Just living the dream today.
We have been talking football and basketball and everything, essentially, honestly, since we saw each other at work this morning. So we've got quite a bit to talk about. Hopefully more than we've talked about already, but there's quite a bit. I think we're gonna start with talking about probably the Packers Bears game. I think that's probably a good spot to
It was a
start
great
with.
weekend. Great Sunday night.
Yeah, for a Wisconsin person, absolutely great Sunday night.
No,
I'll let you take the reins on this one here, though, pal.
I will say I am very happy with that Sunday night game. Especially, I'm $10 richer now thanks to my good buddy, Mr. Tyrell Bullock. Tyrell, I'll be seeing that $10 shortly.
Round of applause for Tyrell.
The one thing that stood out to me the most is, last week we were talking about the running game and how it's been a while. The only time that anybody had broke the 80-yard mark was in week 2 when Aaron Jones went off for, I think it was over $160. Can't remember the exact yardage, but this week Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones both almost broke 80.
Well, Aaron Jones did
with 73, Aaron Jones with 90.
Yep.
So that was very nice to see.
Monster.
The Aaron Rodgers again dominating the Chicago Bears like
Unreal.
Most of his career. Actually, before we went on here tonight, I was looking up some stuff with the Packers-Bears rivalry in general. And since 1990, the Green Bay Packers are 43-19 against the Chicago Bears, and that's since 1990 season.
Wow.
So you think the Packers did just reach with that victory their 100th victory as a team against the Chicago Bears. Chicago sits at 95 victories. And then the Mitchell Trubisky show happened.
Poor guy. No, not really. I don't feel bad for him. Not gonna lie.
I will say, the very first drive, I was talking to Tyrell, because we were talking basically the entire game. And Trubisky did not look bad on that first drive. I mean, he had a drop by Cole Kmet, should have had a catch. And then in the end zone, Allen Robinson dropped a touchdown. And then he did a rollout on the very first play, and that was a nice throw. And then after that, he just went downhill.
Yeah.
A lot of the accuracy. That's the biggest thing with him is his accuracy problems, and he doesn't have the strongest of arms. And obviously, we've seen that with the 2 interceptions. So
it's like, does Matt Nagy, does he ever think at one moment, hey, I'm going to pull out Trubisky? Like, I feel like he didn't have that on his mind at all. I think it was like, we'll let Mitch ride it out and throw some more picks, maybe get sacked a few more times, drop his QBR, pass rating.
Yeah, I don't think he was thinking that, because, I mean, it's hard to pull Trubisky again in that situation, especially when you're down Nick Foles. So I don't even know who the third string quarterback is.
Tyler Bray. And when he came in that one day Foles got hurt, he played horribly. It was just not good.
But then Matt Nagy did call out the entire Bears coaching staff and players after the loss, saying how embarrassing it was and how they should all be ashamed. I mean, that's a guy that's coaching for his job now. Just a few years ago, they came off winning the division, but it's not the defense. I mean, yes, the defense didn't play great, or I won't even say great. They did not play very well against the Packers, but it's not the real defense's fault. It's the entire offense, offensive line, quarterback, and then it comes down to the head coach.
Yeah.
I mean, Chicago, what did they say during the game? They ranked it. I think they were in the top 10 when they won the division in terms of offense, and then last year they fell to 29th, and this year they're hovering around last. So, but the ground game looked good. David Montgomery looked really good.
Yeah. I'm just looking at some of these stats from this game here. You know, you can just tell by looking at the differential between both teams why like one team was better than the others. So for starters, Mitch Trubisky, I I, I don't know how I feel about the Packers defense. They must have really good pass defense considered to their rush defense. Because I feel like a lot of people talk crap about their rush defense, but like Trubisky threw 2 picks. Not only did he throw 2 picks, he got sacked 3 times, and he also fumbled the ball 3 times, but he only lost one of the fumbles. And not even on like Trubisky. If you compare defense by defense, the Bears defense had only 3 pass deflections. They did not touch Rodgers once. They had no defensive touchdowns. They had 1 tackle for loss, and they had 0 sacks. And the Packers had 3 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, 7 pass deflections, 7 QB hits, and 2 defensive touchdowns. It's like,
Well, the
it's
one
crazy.
thing I want to talk about with that is like, excuse me, like when it comes to not being able to get that pressure on Aaron Rodgers, the Bears had the past couple years they've had that defensive front. I mean, obviously Hakeem Hicks was not playing, but they have that defensive front that usually tries to get to the quarterback and is usually successful. One thing that was pointed out to me by Tyrell was Robert Quinn was being dropped back into coverage a lot.
Yeah.
Now, Robert Quinn, from what I remember when he played with the Rams, he'd always been a defensive end.
Yep.
Never really he wasn't a linebacker necessarily. He was down in the 3-point stance, trying to get to the quarterback. Why are they dropping a guy like that back into coverage when Aaron Rodgers had all this time? And then there was a couple plays with Khalil Mack. There was especially on the one where he rolled out and he ran for the first down. He seemed to have been pinching a lot.
Yeah.
Get inside. So I don't know why Chicago wasn't trying to bring more pressure on Aaron Rodgers and try to like make him quick throw, because we obviously know, being Packer fans, and you know, Aaron Rodgers likes to throw the ball away.
I mean, it's kind of hard to put pressure on a guy when you got good offensive line blocking for him, but you know.
Well, I mean, Corey Linsley did go out, but
right. But they, you know, I'm very impressed with that offensive line, how they're able to adjust to losing one of their biggest people by just shifting Elgton Jenkins over to all 5 offensive line positions. That guy's absolutely insane. Having a guy in your O line that can play all 5 positions with no trouble is like super, super like amazing, because there's a lot of teams that suffer. Like, say, like your left tackle goes down, you're not running the ball on the left side, your left side struggles a little bit. Your right tackle goes down, same thing on that side. But then the center or the right guard or the left guard go down. Well, then it's like nothing up the middle. Gotta get out of that pass box right away. It's like Elgton Jenkins, though, this dude can just replace anyone who goes out, and it's
weird to think that
nice.
he's only his second year.
Yeah. Was it this year, or was it a mix between both years that he's played all 5 spots on the line? I saw a post about it. I couldn't remember what it was, though. But I mean, other than that, another interesting thing about that Packer game, everyone's biggest enemy, basically on Twitter, MVS, he did not have a single target. Now, I almost, you know, you start to wonder, MVS not getting a target, is this Aaron Rodgers' way of saying, hey, you need to step it up, or you're not getting the ball? Or was it just he wasn't open, so he didn't get targeted?
I mean, I'm going to be honest. I don't really, obviously, since he didn't get a target, but I don't really remember seeing him out there a lot.
Yeah, he really didn't take many offensive snaps.
When I looked at the snap count, though, I thought they said that he got quite a few snaps, but St. Brown even managed to get 2 catches.
Yeah, St. Brown was the, I think, 3rd leading receiver.
Yeah, he had 39 yards. I mean,
2 targets, 2 receptions.
They used the 3 tight ends. I mean, Jay Sternberger caught one. Mercedes Lewis had a touchdown, and then Robert Tonyan had that really nice touchdown.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think this is just a part of their way of maybe they need to build him back up. I mean, it was disappointing on how the game ended with him. Not, I wouldn't say the game ended with him, but the Packers' chances of winning ended when he fumbled that ball.
Yeah.
And I mean, me and you obviously both love sports.
Mm-hmm.
We're very passionate about it. We're not one of those guys that is gonna send death threats out. That
No,
was a
I
little.
still can't believe people did
I
that.
wanted to talk about that because it's sports.
Yeah.
These guys do this for a living. I mean, he's in the NFL for a reason. He's a good wide receiver. He's in the NFL for a reason.
Yeah.
I don't understand why people get to the point where they think that this guy needs to die.
It doesn't make any sense.
It is just a game.
Yep.
Next Sunday will come.
Right.
But
dude, if anything, just tweet at the Packers and tell them to cut him. Like, don't send death threats. Like, come on. It's not cool. You still there? You cut out?
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know if you just cut out or anything. Okay. Let's see. Well, I mean, I think we've covered everything with that we were gonna cover. I'm gonna jump ahead pretty far because there's something I'm really anticipating wanting to talk about, and that is the the Saints Broncos game. I've been listening to a lot of people talking about the Broncos having to play this game and how they think that it's unfair that the Broncos had to play this game, yet the Steelers-Ravens game got postponed. Yep. What was it? 3 different times or 2 different? 3 different times.
It got postponed from that Thursday to Sunday, Sunday to Monday, Monday to Tuesday, and now it's Wednesday.
Yeah, so I don't know that, but there's a little bit more other than the practice squad wide receiver playing quarterback for the Broncos in that game that was notable. So with that Saints team, they usually, they lean on Alvin Kamara to be their big scorer, their big producer.
Yep.
In that game, Latavius Murray had 124 yards and 2 TDs. And Alvin Kamara only had 1 catch and it was negative yards. And he only had 54 yards rushing, no touchdown. It's like, where does Latavius Murray just come from? I feel like this always happens with the Saints. Like, Alvin Kamara will bust like all year. And like, he'll do good and he won't have any struggles, or he might have a temporary struggle, but he'll still come back. But he can have an amazing week, and then the next week, Latavius Murray just comes out of nowhere and steals the spotlight. So if you had Alvin Kamara in fantasy this week, ouchers. But if for some reason you had Latavius Murray, big dubs. But like even on Taysom Hill's behalf, didn't crack 100 yards passing, but at least he wasn't 1 for 9 with 2 picks. Just saying. But
I will say this. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. You have to give.
Oh, I give Hinton a lot of credit.
You have to give Kendall Hinton a lot of credit. He came off the practice squad, hadn't played quarterback since college. The nerves had to be there. He didn't get any practice time with this team at quarterback. For him to even come out and he completed a pass.
Yeah.
He did obviously throw those 2 interceptions, but I didn't have very much high hopes for the guy, but he didn't play. I mean, yes, he played terrible.
Yeah.
But he did what he could do.
Yeah. Well, and I heard a lot of people saying like, don't pity the guy, don't let him think that this is okay. Well, here's the thing. You can't really not pity a person who was on a practice squad roster making less than a normal NFL rostered player. Not only that, but also taking practice squad reps at a position where he's supposed to be playing and then going to the NFL, playing in a game, again, making practice squad money, while also playing a position where he's training in the practice squad to not play. Like, this dude has literally not taken a single actual snap at quarterback. I think if I looked it up, I think it was his sophomore year of college that he was last quarterback. And when you don't play quarterback for that long of a time, it's like, how do you expect to be good?
Yeah. Well, and the thing is that even if like you are a Denver Broncos fan, you can't be mad at Kendall Hinton for that game. No. You have to be mad at the quarterbacks who put themselves in that position.
Yep.
to become at risk who then had to sit out that game. Now, mind you, they did all get activated off the COVID reserve list today, so they are all going to be back for next week's game. But even uh, Big Fangio, I think it was him, came out and said, that's on the quarterbacks. He was very disappointed with what they did, and I would be too if I'm a fan of the Denver Broncos. I mean, your team was counting on you guys, but then you go out there and you can only score 3 points against the Saints, who Taysom Hill obviously did not look good, in my opinion. I mean, yes, he did have 2 rushing touchdowns, but he did not look good as anywhere near as good as he looked last week against the Panthers.
No, he looked awful.
So it's just, I feel bad for that team because yes, they didn't get the same type of respect it seemed that the Baltimore Ravens got. Probably because the Ravens are a playoff contending team and the Denver Broncos aren't. But
yeah. So I've got his passing statistics up here. So he has not taken a snap at quarterback since it looks like 2018, and he only threw 8 passes, so he wasn't much of a quarterback in 2018. And out of the 8 passes, he had 2 completions and threw 1 pick. So
did he play
clearly this he played receiver and he played receiver. That's what it was. Yep. But like if you look at even his quarterbacking stats, he was never a great quarterback. Like his first season, he was 929 yards, 5 picks, 4 touchdowns. His second season, in 3 games, he was a little bit better. He was 11 for 19 with 1 pick, 174 yards, no touchdowns. And then 2017, he was 27 for 47, no picks, 399 yards, and 4 touchdowns. So he got the picks down, but his yards went down a lot, and his touchdowns stayed the same. So you got to look at that 2017, that 2017 season. He had 190 rushing yards and a touchdown. Because what I think was Kendall Hinton's game was, I think he was like a scrambling quarterback, because his last year in Wake Forest, he had 1,000 yards receiving and 4 touchdowns. So he was clearly meant to be a receiver, but he had the quarterback skill set in him, because he must have played quarterback in high school for the reason he became a quarterback in college. So
you know who I'd love to see get put at like the emergency quarterback spot and have them play? Julian Edelman. I mean, I understand he's not playing right now, but to actually see him play an NFL game at quarterback, because I mean, he did play quarterback.
He did take some snaps in the NFL for the Patriots at quarterback, but never really a full
I'd like
game.
To see him play like an entire game, kind of like the same situation that Kendall Hinton was put in. So
yeah, I mean, other than the fact that the Broncos and Saints, I think that's about all we got for that one. There's not really how much more to tag on that.
Not much to talk about in that game.
You know, it's Kendall Hinton's first game. Round of applause for stepping out there, because that's a big job. But so now we're gonna switch over to my favorite topic of the week, and that is the Miami Dolphins' big 20-3 W over the Jets. The Jets are obviously terrible. They're 0-10, now 0-11 after the Dolphins mollywopped them in New York at MetLife. So the New York football team strikes again at being horrible under the reins of Adam Gase. Will Adam Gase be fired before the end of the season? Who knows? If they truly are trying to tank for Trevor Lawrence and that is their strategy, then no. If somehow, some way, they're not trying to go 0-12 or 0-16 or whatever it is, then yeah, he'll get fired. Dan Orlovsky said he'll step in and coach so they don't get a loss, but don't think that's gonna happen. But like, even I'm a little disappointed with this game though, because I feel like this game could have went a lot better. The Dolphins, I mean, Fitz didn't throw a pick, thank goodness, but Fitz got sacked 4 times. Okay, he got sacked more than Trubisky did against the Packers. That's a little bit tough. But he only had 257 yards. Again, not a lot against the Jets defense. It's not very good. The running game was very bad. 49 yards is the most carries from a running back, and that was DeAndre Washington, who they just got like 2 or 3 weeks ago. However, Parker had 119 yards receiving, no TDs. Big usage of the tight ends in Miami, though. Gesicki, Smythe, and Shaheen. Shaheen and Gesicki both had a touchdown. Thankfully, they're out there. But I think where the Dolphins really come up is their defense, because with their defense, they had 3 sacks. They had I think they had 2 picks. Nick Needham got one right at the end of the game, I think it was, and Xavier Howard had one, getting his 7th on the year, which I did not know.
7th.
So, absolute monster. Jason Sanders had another great game.
What did you say earlier today at work about Xavier Howard?
I thought I saw something online on Twitter or something where somebody was like talking bad, and they said like that he was like coming back, like he was playing bad, but I didn't think that sounded right. So when I said it, I was like, I kind of had to like think about it for a second. I was like, that doesn't really make sense. I don't know why that's coming out of my head, but yeah. But like the Dolphins defense, Jerome Baker, Andrew Van Ginkel, Xavier Howard, they're all stepping up. Love to see it. Jason Sanders, best kicker in the NFL. Don't at me. It's quite an interesting team to watch. Being second in the AFC East right now, they could do it. That's all I got. It.
Do you think this team goes anywhere if they make the playoffs? If something were to happen to Devontae Parker? I mean, he is by far the number 1 target.
If Devontae Parker is gone, probably not, because they're already struggling without Preston Williams, and that's not a good sign.
Yeah.
But with Devontae Parker, will they make it far in the playoffs? The only team I see them having trouble with is Kansas City. To be honest with you, the reason is because, well, and Pittsburgh.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. I was going to chime in there.
So, because Pittsburgh, they have 3 dynamic wide receivers and Eric Ebron, and the backfield of James Conner and Jalen Samuels is pretty good, honestly.
Not to mention one of, like, if not the best defense in the league.
But like the reason I'm worried about the Steelers is why I'm worried about the Chiefs. They're so capable of scoring on offense. Like we just saw Tyreek Hill burn for 3 touchdowns, like almost 300 yards. Like, granted, it was the Buccaneers, but the Buccaneers like shut out Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. So I don't know. But it's like the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes finds a way to score all the time. So it's a little bit iffy. Can the Dolphins stop Derrick Henry and the Titans? Sure. Will it be good? Probably not. It'll probably be a pretty ugly game like it was this week. Whoever the Titans played, I don't remember. They played Indianapolis. Yeah, it'll probably be something like that. But like Buffalo, I can see them getting dethroned. Pittsburgh would absolutely be a tough one. Cleveland would probably be another tough one, because with a team like Cleveland, if you run the ball with Nick Chubb and you get Nick Chubb running, he does good. And then like you get Kareem Hunt out there, it's like, okay, so now the team just did all this work to like stop Nick Chubb. Now they gotta stop Kareem Hunt. It's like, nah. So I don't know. Will they make the playoffs? I don't really think so. What are some things that could help them progress farther?
There, bud. You said you don't think that they will make the playoffs. As of right now, if the playoffs were to start today, they would be the number 6 seed.
Oh, really? They actually would make it?
Yep, they'd be playing the Tennessee Titans right now.
Huh. I didn't actually know that was possible. I thought they were too far back.
Yeah, they own the tiebreaker over the Colts, based on
right here
in conference games.
Yep. Huh.
And I think it helps too that the Raiders ended up getting destroyed by the Atlanta Falcons. So
yeah, I don't know. I think that one thing though that the Dolphins are going to need to do in order to progress themselves further ahead is they need to work on getting their run game back and figuring out that situation. But other than the Dolphins, Adam Gase is the worst coach in the NFL. I think we can agree on that. So glad he's with the Jets and not the Dolphins anymore. But enough of the Dolphins and the Jets. I know you were talking about this earlier today, and I know you had some good points on it. So I'm gonna start with directing this topic over to you. Let's talk about the Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts, and the quarterback situation. What do you got going on over there?
I was so very surprised that the report came out that Jalen Hurts was getting first team reps, and he just was able to throw one pass, and then they took him out because, again, like we saw last night, and we've seen for the entire season, pretty much, Carson Wentz has struggled mightily. I mean, he's
Immensely.
obviously the offensive line has been a big factor in him. You know, he's leading the league in getting sacked. And he was sacked 6 times last night.
Yeah. Yes,
And
he
they might be
was.
missing weapons, but I mean, they got Dallas Goedert back.
They have Alshon Jeffrey.
Alshon Jeffrey
He's not
played.
young anymore, but dude still got it. Travis Fulgham
I
targeted
mean,
twice.
he did throw another pick. I mean, he is now, what is that, 15 picks on the year. He's leading the league. But the one thing that I want to take away is Carson Wentz led that team in rushing yards yesterday. I mean, they didn't run the ball a whole lot. They ran the ball 14 times as a team. Carson Wentz running 5 of them. Miles Sanders only got 6 carries for 15 yards.
Miles Sanders' biggest thing yesterday was his 2-point conversion carry. That's it. Other than that, barely saw him. Corey Clement came out and ran the ball for 6 yards. Good for him.
But otherwise, Philadelphia's defense looked good. They didn't look terrible last night. I remember watching early in that first quarter, and both offenses were coming off the field and punting. Nobody seemed to could get a drive moving.
Derek Barnett was amazing. He was like everywhere. Like I was saying the same thing. I'm sitting here and I don't know what I was doing. I think I was playing Madden or something. Like, oh no, I was watching that show, and I'm sitting here and I'm like looking at my computer screen, and I look back and I'm watching the game, and then I'm looking here and then I look back. Every time I look back, Derek Barnett was getting a third down tackle for loss or like quarterback hit or something. It's like, what's this dude doing? Like, how are the Seahawks not stopping him from breaking through? It was crazy.
So I mean, they I feel like even like with the way that Seattle or Philadelphia's defense was playing, I mean, they put a lot of. It seemed to be they didn't take down Russell Wilson a whole lot. I mean, 2 sacks, but he was running a lot, having to find ways to get open. I mean, he did obviously find DK Metcalf a lot, who is, I mean, if you didn't know, DK Metcalf is leading the league in receiving yards this year. I don't know how 31 other teams let him fall to the 3rd round. I mean, I understand you could put Seattle in there, say 32 teams let him fall to the 3rd round.
Philadelphia literally drafted JJ Arcega-Whiteside over DK Metcalf. Let's just talk about that for a second.
I mean, DK Metcalf is turning out to be he's going to be one of the best receivers in the NFL for a long time if he continues doing what he is doing. There's no mistake about. Russell Wilson has a 1A and a 1B wide receiver duo in terms of DK and Tyler Lockett. But
yeah,
the one thing I gotta say about this whole entire game is that game showed just let Jalen Hurts play quarterback for a little while. I mean, maybe there's something going on. I mean, obviously that offensive line is atrocious. They're not blocking Carson Wentz very well. Jalen Hurts can move in the pocket. I mean, if you've watched him play at Alabama and then his final season at Oklahoma, you know he can run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'll put him out there, let him do his thing, and see what he's got. I mean, the main guys are coming back. I mean, I think this was Alshon's first game back.
No, it was his 3rd.
It's
but he didn't do anything in his other games.
So I mean, just I don't know what. I mean, I understand there's a lot of money tied to Carson Wentz, but you're still alive in the playoffs for your division. I mean, obviously, if you're not going to win the division, you're not going to make the playoffs in the South, or the East. But try.
Yeah, right. Definitely try. I mean, that Eagles team, it's tough.
I mean, there's only one team right now in that entire division that looks like they want to be in the playoffs, and that is the Washington football team.
Yeah, the Washington football team.
We saw what happened on Thanksgiving. I mean, obviously not good games, but the football team looked good.
Yeah.
I mean, defense, running the ball wise, they looked good. Antonio Gibson looked really good. 3 rushing touchdowns. He had over 100 yards rushing.
And you can't dog Alex Smith. Alex Smith, dude's coming back from like what? You got his leg like 38 times amputated. Like what in the world is going on with this guy? Like the fact that he was even able to come back and play football is miraculous in its own. And I really like what the football team has going here. So they have Logan Thomas on their team, who's a former quarterback who plays tight end. Yep. And I noticed that he threw a pass the other day.
Yep.
Love that. Like, it's kind of like the Taysom Hill thing, except this guy only played quarterback, tight end.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have another guy on your team like that can, like, at any time say, yo, coach, I'll take a snap at quarterback, throw him in there, he throws a 20-yard pass. Nice. Like, you get a nice completion out of it, everyone's happy. And then you got the Cowboys who throw CD Lamb in there to throw a pass and he gets sacked, well, whatever. Your loss, not ours.
I mean, I think the biggest thing to take away from the Cowboys this entire season is it seems to be a lack of trying. In my opinion, I remember watching the Sunday night, or not Sunday night, Fox NFL like Sunday that they have right like before the games, and they were talking a couple weeks ago about they had the quotes up there from Xavier Woods, and he had said, some guys on this defense take plays off, and I'm one of them. What? Yeah. Why would you publicly come out and say that you guys are taking plays off? Like, if that was a player, if I was a coach on that team, I'd want you on the bench.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to put 110% effort into every play. Get off of my team.
Yeah.
Obviously, there is a lack of something, and to me, it's not Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy showed that he was a good enough coach in Green Bay to win all those games, and I know a lot of Packer fans would be, look at what happened. But still, Mike McCarthy won football games.
Yeah. But you know who else won football games for the Dallas Cowboys? Dak Prescott did. You know who's not there right now? Dak Prescott. Since Dak Prescott has been hurt, they have lost 4 out of 5 games they have played.
But you also got to realize you said they lost 4 out of 5?
Yeah.
So they were 1-3 with him?
Yeah.
And I understand Dak Prescott putting up great numbers before he got injured.
Hopefully
he comes back better than ever when he returns. But a lot of those stats that he was putting up were in garbage time.
Yeah, Dak. Let's face it, Dak is a garbage time quarterback. That is 100%. They should not have beat the Falcons. The Falcons blew that game. But yeah, that's like a lot of these games they were getting blown out, and in garbage time, Dak.
By Cleveland.
Yep, Seattle, not really blown out, but Seattle put up 38 on them. But it's like, if you look at these games, like after the injury of Dak, 38-10 they lost against the Cardinals. 25-3 they lost against Washington. 23-9 they lost against the Eagles. 24-19 against the Steelers. That was actually probably one of their best games. And then they stepped it up and they won against the Vikings. And they went right back downhill and lost 41-16 against Washington.
I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with that offensive line being completely like revamped from last year, with all the injuries and Travis Frederick officially retiring.
Yeah,
this is not the same, obviously, anywhere near good of an offensive line that Zeke was running behind years past when he was one of the leading rushers in the league.
No.
It's sad to see, because I obviously have him in fantasy football, so it seems like the last couple of weeks that he's just been fumbling.
Yep.
He's not getting the yardage like we're accustomed to seeing. Everybody was so high on Dallas this year to win the division, and possibly, I bet you there's a lot of people outside of Dallas Cowboy fans that had Dallas going to the Super Bowl.
You know, I feel like
By
the
far
way
not close to a Super Bowl contending team. And Andy Dalton is not a terrible quarterback.
no, he's not.
He's a good quarterback. He's probably the best backup, in my opinion, in the entire league. The Cowboys got lucky to get him. I mean, who else would you rather have?
I'm trying to think of who else would. I mean, I'm gonna be honest.
Maybe
The two of Ryan Fitzpatrick duo is pretty good.
I'll zip my lip for that one.
But I mean, like realistically, there's not really many other good like quarterback like backup other than
The Saints.
maybe the Chargers if you consider Tyrod an actually good quarterback, depending on how you view Tyrod.
He did lead Buffalo to the playoffs.
Yeah, I think Tyrod's a good quarterback, but again, it's how someone else would think about it. I mean, is RG3 done? Would he be considered a good quarterback? Like, I don't know. But you know how you were talking about the Cowboys like struggling? You know, wouldn't you think that would just light a fire in a Cowboys fan?
Was that
Lighting a fire in a Cowboys fan. You know what that reminds me of? Firing Matt Patricia. Why did the Lions do it? Did it make sense? I believe it did.
You did?
Oh yeah.
I think they should have waited till at least the end of the year.
No, I think they waited too long. I think they waited way too long. I feel like Matt Stafford is probably going into that locker room at halftime and banging his head against the wall.
See,
Poor guy.
I think he's a good coach.
Just not with this group.
He's not a good head coach.
Yeah.
And that seems to be the theme with a lot of these coaches right now in the NFL.
Yeah.
He was a good coach when he was with obviously the Patriots. He's one of those Bill Belichick disciples.
Yep. So why everyone wants Josh McDaniels to coach so bad.
And but you can't say he's a terrible coach because what have the Detroit Lions been in the last 30, 40 years?
Yeah, that's actually a good point. They haven't really done much.
Like,
when did they make their last strong run to the playoffs?
Not quarterbacks, coaches. And they're just going through. I mean, obviously Jim Caldwell, he lasted there quite a few years. He wasn't even a terrible coach there. They were obviously a mediocre team with him, but I don't know. I don't think this all falls on Matt Patricia.
I mean, no, but there's got to be a reason they let Matt Patricia and the GM go.
I understand. I think he lost the locker room. In retrospect.
Well, and two, this GM. If I'm looking at the pick from the last year's draft, what did he do wrong? Was he not getting the right guys? Was he making stuff not work? Because he drafted great. Granted, I don't know this Julian Aquara guy from Notre Dame. Not sure how good he is, but Jeff Okudah, absolutely great cornerback. DeAndre Swift, dude's turned out to be really good. And I'm biased here, but Quintez Cephas, that's a future wide receiver for your team.
Yep, I'm going to be cheering. I wish he was a Green Bay Packer. No offense.
Yeah, same.
Fan that killed me not to see him get drafted, but I will be cheering for him on Detroit, and I think he's going to do good there.
Oh yeah, Matt Stafford's. Aaron Rodgers said it himself on Pat McAfee's show. He said Matt Stafford is a great quarterback. So
speaking of that, I'm actually got in the background. I got Aaron Rodgers and Pat McAfee talking on the show from today. So
yeah. But other than the Lions side of things from this game this is a Thursday night game, right? Yeah.
The Thursday first game on Thanksgiving.
What is going on with Will Fuller and Bradley Roby? Did they share supplements with each other? Who else took supplements for the Houston Texans? Why are people getting suspended?
Trade fell through.
Oh.
Can you imagine if the Packers would have given the Texans a second round pick that they
wanted for Will Fuller? I got suspended.
Randall Cobb is injured, and then out of nowhere, they cut Kenny Stills.
I can't believe Will Fuller and Bradley Roby both got suspended for 6 games because of pads. I think so. Will Fuller. This is what he said. He said earlier this year, I sought treatment from a professional who prescribed medication that he believed to be permitted under the NFL's drug policy. As it turns out,
if you're gonna say that I believed, I feel like you should go and make sure before
yeah,
you take
that's
that
what I'm
substance.
saying. Why would you just believe this guy? And then he says, as it turns out, my trust in this professional was misplaced because this was not a permitted substance. Well, no, duh. Like, that's like literally going to the doctor and like saying, hey, I have stomach cramps. What can I like do to help it? And they're like, oh, you can take this. And he hands you regular vitamins like they're going to help. No, like, obviously it's not going to help. Like, you got to get like, you got to have some sort of like knowledge of what's going to work to help you.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Hey, at least this team, at least no, not only to say at least his team, he played phenomenal that game. I mean, now his season is over, but they showed up finally.
You know, and I, it's like you kind of feel bad for the Texans now because it's like, you know,
I wouldn't say I feel bad for the Texans. I feel bad for Deshaun Watson. I feel bad for JJ Watt.
yeah,
The guy, like,
I feel
those
bad
guys
for anyone
both
who's
been in
not Bill
trouble.
O'Brien, even though
Yeah.
he's not the coach or the GM anymore. Bill O'Brien trades DeAndre Hopkins for a bag of chips, and then, you know, trades for Garyon Conley, who's been on IR all season. So now the Texans are without another cornerback because Garyon Conley's hurt and Bradley Roby's suspended. So the receivers left for the Texans right now, yeah, Brandon Cooks, Kiki QT, Isaiah Coulter, whoever that is, and some guy, Steven Mitchell, who was on their practice squad. Two of the four guys named there have probably not had any NFL relevance at all. And then Cooks is, you know, he's Cooks. And then Kiki QT, he's like hit or
He's their
miss.
maybe punt returner and special team. Like,
Yeah, he's got 38 yards and a touchdown this year. Coulter has no stats. He's a rookie. He was drafted in the 5th round.
which is why I think it's surprising that they cut Kenny Stills. I know they did say that they were going to they cut Kenny to allow him to go to a playoff contender.
But
But
didn't they cut Kenny before they found out about Will Fuller's thing?
they see that's the thing. It came out that he was suspended, but you got to think that Houston had to have known behind closed doors. I mean, obviously they ain't going to say anything like that, but I mean, maybe they're just calling it in for the year. I mean, they can't make the playoffs. If I were Houston, I'd rather try right now to try to get a high pick or move up in the draft order than start winning some games when you know you're not going to be making the postseason. So
Yeah. I don't know. Will Fuller is such a good wide receiver, and for talent like that to just go like
has he
down.
ever played an entire season?
Yeah, I don't know. I just read that they were talking about him having a lot of injuries.
Yeah, because he is a very injury prone wide receiver. I don't know if he's ever in his NFL career played an entire 16 game season.
No, the most he played was his rookie season. He played 14.
And they wanted a second round pick for him. I mean, I understand he's got big playability, but
Dude, he was about to have 1,000-yard receiving season and potentially 10 touchdowns, and he let that slide because he took drugs. Wow, that's crazy. Absolutely nuts.
well, shows what you've got to be smarter. At
Yeah,
you just have to be smarter in situations like that.
absolutely. Speaking of being smarter, um, did Tom Brady forget how to play football, or was the Chiefs' color of their jerseys just too similar to the Buccaneers? What was going on there?
I don't know. I really don't know because it's like my dad he's like one of the like biggest Tom Brady fans that I've ever met. So like I keep always joking around with him. Oh, like Tom Brady, like he's on the decline. He's haha, he's on the decline. Well, something happened in that Chicago game. I don't know what was going through his head, like his mentality at that point, where he forgot the down or whatever.
Yeah.
Then they came out, they crushed the Packers, offensively and defensively. They dominated the Raiders.
Well, he didn't even have that good of a game against the Packers. That's what doesn't make any sense.
That was Ronald Jones.
Yep.
But then all of a sudden, like they barely squeezed by the Giants, and then the train like falls off the track almost, basically, you could say, because then they get killed by the Saints. I don't know what happened in that game.
Was tough, bro. 3 picks and no touchdowns. Yikers.
You got to think, though, they have played a pretty hard schedule. I mean, they haven't played an easy schedule. I mean, they lost back-to-back games by a score of 27-24.
Yeah. I mean, even the first game of the year when they played the Saints, he didn't do good. But it's like...
It seems like, even when I was listening to, like, Tony Romo and Jim Nantz, like, talk during the game,
yeah,
the way that the Tampa Bay's offense is when Tom Brady gets the snap, he's doing all of his reads after the snap, which is probably hard for a guy like him, because I mean, obviously you heard him before the season saying, like, I haven't had to relearn a playbook in 15 years or so. Obviously he's been in the league longer than that, but it seems to him not being able to read pre-snap, his interceptions he's got 11 interceptions on the year, which for Tom Brady is quite high for Tom Brady.
He had 11 his whole 2018 season.
Yeah. And how many did he have last year?
Last year he had 8. Last year was a good year for him. He had a QBR of, oh no, not the QBR, pass rating of 88, which is not horrible for 16 games. But he had 24 touchdowns, 8 picks. So touchdowns were a bit low, but he had 4,000 yards. That's pretty decent.
Well, with a team like this, they have so much firepower on that offense and defense. Their defense is no slouch. Their defense is really good. But there's too much firepower on that offense for this team to have lost 3 of the last 4 games. I mean, I understand Chris Godwin, Mike Evans have been dealing with some injuries throughout the season. Antonio Brown is back in the NFL. Ronald Jones, I mean, he had that what game was that he had the 98-yard touchdown in?
That was last week.
Was it?
Yeah, I lost that in fantasy.
So, I mean, you also have Leonard Fournette,
who can't catch a pass.
4th and 3rd overall pick from a few years back. You also have LaShawn McCoy. You have Cameron Bray. You have Rob Gronkowski. There's no excuses for this offense not to be like putting up massive points. I mean, we've seen Jameis Winston lead the NFL in passing yards last year. He had over 30 touchdown passes. Mind you, he did also have 30 interceptions, but he was still able to move the ball around and put up points.
Well, and things are only going to get harder for Tom Brady here with AQ Shipley being out for the rest of the year. That's your big man in the middle.
Isn't he possibly having to retire?
It's career. He can't take another hit. He's basically done. So it's like, with that, other than like that, his offensive like firepower, like, dude, LaShawn McCoy is not washed yet. I'd give him 2 more years. Fournette, that dude is more washed than McCoy is, because Fournette can't catch a pass, and he runs out of the backfield and he's like, okay, a touchdown here maybe, 6-yard run, 3-yard run, lose yards, whatever. Ronald Jones, he's consistent, then he breaks off for a 98-yard touchdown run. It's like, okay. But I mean, this dude, he's 4th in the NFL for rushing yards this season, so he's doing something right.
Yeah, I mean, that was surprising to see, because I was looking at the rushing stats, like for the rushing leaders, and seeing him that high, and I also seeing Kenyon Drake up that high was pretty surprising as well, due to the fact that he missed 2 games.
Yeah.
Like, look at this defense: Devin White, Levante David, rookie Antoine Winfield Jr. from Minnesota.
Very good.
Sean Murphy Bunting, Jason
Very good.
Pierre-Paul, Shaquille Barrett, Ndamukong Suh, Vita Vea. This
Hurt.
is a good defense.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand Carlton Davis did get burned a few times by Tyreek Hill, but you got to remember, Tyreek Hill is the fastest guy in the NFL. And I think he proved that by putting up what 200 and did he pass 290?
Who?
Tyreek.
I think he did. Oh, double check that. Not
Putting up 269. 269.
Yep.
Catching 13 of the 15 targets for 3 touchdowns. I mean, he got burnt, but they also have Travis Kelce. They also have Sammy Watkins, Mecole Hardman, Demarcus Robinson. They have Le'Veon Bell, who's a good pass catching running back. They have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's also a good pass catching running back. So
Dude
it's like that was the battle of the
performance.
What was that?
Edwards-Helaire had a tough performance, so dude looked like absolute junk.
I feel like they've stopped relying on him as much,
which they should.
Of Le'Veon Bell.
They should really give Le'Veon Bell more looks because he's still a good running back. The Buccaneers should start putting LaShawn McCoy back into their looks, but they're not. But I guess when you add Antonio Brown into the mix, it doesn't make sense to do something like that. But
I was expecting a higher scoring game from this game too, with this type of talent on the offenses. I mean, 27-24 is still a decent scoring game, but from the past Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes matchups that we've seen, they usually get up into the mid 30s, high 30s and stuff. So I was a little disappointed to see it 27-24. Still a great game. It was a great game to watch.
You know, there was another great game that was possible to watch. I didn't watch it. I saw clips of it on Red Zone, but the Panthers-Vikings game.
I watched that game. That was a good game.
Like, where did Jeremy Chin come from? Like, this dude is amazing.
Weird thing is did you know that Jeremy Chin scored 2 defensive touchdowns that
in
game
2 straight drives? Yeah,
crazy,
unreal.
Absolutely unreal. They were saying during the game that I don't know if it's true, but he gets coached by, like, they were asking him if he spends more time in the linebacker meeting or like the defensive backs meeting, and he said neither. He said, I have my own coach because he lines up every different position on the defense, and he's a rookie.
Yeah,
putting a lot of faith into a rookie who might have taken over the defensive rookie of the year lead.
Very possible.
The other thing to mention in that game is the way that I still can't believe the way that game ended. And everything. Did you see how that game, like everything that happened towards the end of the game, or no?
Well, if I'm looking here, so the last drive, so it looks like Bridgewater passed to Curtis Samuel.
Well, he had the
pass to Davis, pass to Anderson, then he spiked
the game-winning touchdown to Chad Beebe.
Oh, Joey Sly missed a 54-yarder. That's right.
But before that, Chad Beebe muffed a punt, which Carolina recovered, and they recovered. I think they were inside the red zone, and they only managed. There was like 4 some minutes left. They only managed a field goal to put them up by 6.
Yeah.
Minnesota comes all the way down. Kirk Cousins. I'm not a Kirk Cousins fan. The way that he's getting paid by Minnesota, terrible. But he looked good on that last drive. And of all people to catch that game-winning pass was Chad Beebe, who caught his first touchdown catch of his career. Talk about redemption.
Yeah.
And guess what that win did for him? They are now number 2 in the NFC
North. Actually, aren't they technically tied with Chicago, or did they have like a win over
them? They are tied with Chicago, but they do own the tiebreaker over Chicago based on they beat Chicago. But they're right. I mean, think about it. Minnesota, everybody thought Minnesota was done.
Yeah.
They're one win. They're the 8th seed, one win behind Arizona for making the playoffs. And
Yeah.
they have the number 1, maybe number 2 running back in the league in Dalvin Cook.
Mm-hmm.
So
number 2, I'd say.
Number 2?
Yeah.
And then they also have Justin Jefferson, who I'm a big fan of. And then Adam Thielen, who obviously missed last week or that Sunday game. But that team, I mean, we've seen what happened against the Packers. So,
well, you know what's really interesting is with this Vikings team, with Adam Thielen being gone, you know, you're expecting, oh, dude, Justin Jefferson's going to step up. Dude's going to carry tons of receiving yards. He did have 2 touchdowns, but BC Johnson had led the squad in receiving yards. He had 74 yards on 7 receptions for 7 targets. Honestly, every catch he was targeted, he caught. Ironically enough, Chad Beebe caught every pass that he was thrown as well and scored a touchdown. But yeah, definitely a redemption run for Chad Beebe. That guy is probably super happy that he was able to be in the end zone for that touchdown because after muffing a punt like that, yeah, that's pretty tough. But yes, like Dalvin Cook being the number 2 running back, I think that's perfect because I think the number 1 running back honestly has to be Derrick Henry, and that's because Derrick Henry I think is just unstoppable.
Yep, I think he proved that against the going into that game 2nd ranked total defense in the entire league. I mean, you have to remember just 2 weeks ago when they played on Thursday night, Tennessee lost that game 34-17. And that was for the division lead. I think that put Indy ahead of Tennessee. Now, 2 weeks later, Tennessee does what they did to what Indy did to them, and they take back the division lead.
Do you think it's possible Derrick Henry could be a potential MVP candidate?
Oh, of course.
I'm looking at his stats here. So he leads in rushing yards. He doesn't lead in touchdowns, but he hasn't fumbled a single possession at all this year. Not a single fumble.
He's so big. I mean, he's so big and fast.
Yeah.
Watching guys try to tackle him. I mean, there was he did get a swing pass in that game, and I can't remember who it was that hit him. He put a good hit on him too. I can't remember who it was from the Colts.
Take a look.
I don't think
Willis.
It was Howard. It was Willis?
Yeah.
Yeah, he put a good hit on him, and he obviously forced an incomplete pass, but it's not the weird thing is it's not even just Derrick Henry on that team.
No.
Ryan Tannehill, he didn't look. They didn't have to rely on Ryan Tannehill.
Tanna Goat, that's what they call him. Absolute beast. But
he was with your team.
Yeah, he was something else when he played Miami. But
yeah, he was. This is not the same Ryan Tannehill. That's exactly correct.
Better Ryan Tannehill.
But then they got who is one of my favorite receivers, AJ Brown. I mean, this
dude is so good.
League. He is so good, so good, and I regret not starting him this week. I'm sorry, AJ Brown, for not starting him this week in fantasy football. I was just expecting, hopefully, because he had 1 catch last time they played, so I was expecting something along those lines again, but he demolished him. He had that onside kick return for a touchdown.
You know what I feel like is sad when it comes to Ryan Tannehill, why people don't give him as much credit as he deserves?
What's that?
His yard totals and his touchdown totals are not very high. And you got to look at it from a point of view of, look what he did when his yard totals and touchdown totals were higher. He threw way more picks.
Mm-hmm.
He was more aggressive, so he was sacked more.
Mm-hmm.
sure, he over this past 2 seasons he has 8 fumbles. Well, yeah, he's a quarterback. You get hit as a quarterback, you're not really going to hold on to it the majority of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But like just looking at his passer rating, progress as he gets on the Titans. Like last year, 117.5, and this year it's 106.7. Like, sure, he's no MVP, but he's definitely a team MVP. I'll give him that much. And he's done so much to help this team.
And he's one of the biggest reasons why. I mean, he is the reason why Tennessee decided to move on from Marcus Mariota.
Yeah.
Because he just gave them a whole different dimension where they can not fully rely on Derrick Henry time in and time out, where they can, if they need a pass, they can go to Ryan Tannehill and he can go out there and try to win them a ball game or come from behind. Or Ryan Tannehill is a good quarterback.
Yeah, like he's no
team.
fantasy pad statter, but he's a quarterback. He does what he's supposed to do. He goes out there, throws a couple slants, throws a couple streaks, throws a couple posts, gets a screen pass out here, gets pass out there, runs the ball a little bit, gets on first downs. Dude does it. He makes it work, and he does it very well. Like, it's honestly pretty impressive how far he's came since he's been on the Dolphins. And I know people don't look too much into deep stats when it comes to being a quarterback or anything in general with like NFL, but Ryan Tannehill is 5th in QBR out of all quarterbacks in the league. And that's, considering who's in the NFL right now, that's impressive. He's ranked behind Mahomes in this order: Mahomes, Rodgers, Breeze, and Prescott. With Prescott being out, Tannehill can move himself up there, make himself that 4th QBR. Russell Wilson 7th behind Josh Allen, and behind Josh Allen.
Oh wow!
But that's only because he's gotten sacked 35 times.
No, true. Yeah.
And he's thrown 10 picks.
Which is weird because it seemed like this was Russell Wilson's year to win MVP. I feel like these last few games he's like taking himself out of contention. I feel like deep down Derrick Henry will probably win offensive player of the year.
Yeah.
And this is a 2-man race now for MVP between Rodgers and Mahomes, whoever wants it more.
It depends how you look at it. Looking at the statistics, I'm giving it to Rodgers right now. Sure, his QBR is 1 point lower, but he's taken less sacks. He's only thrown 2 more picks. He's thrown 3 more touchdowns. He has a little bit less yards, but that's because he doesn't have a burner like Tyreek Hill. He's also thrown less passes. He's only completed 30 less. He's also got a better passer rating in general because the touchdown to interception ratio is different. So it's like
completion percentage compared to Mahomes.
It's very close. 68.5 to 68.8.
The nice thing about Rodgers though this year is he's not throwing the ball away as much as he had in the past.
Yeah.
I feel like he's trusting his guys a lot more, and he's getting the ball out to the running backs. And I knew this coming. It's so weird that everybody probably could have predicted. A lot of people, oh, Aaron Rodgers, he's done, he's washed. As soon as the Packers drafted Jordan Love, you should have been like, Aaron Rodgers is going to win MVP.
Well, because
if you know football, you should have known that when Aaron Rodgers probably saw Jordan Love get picked by Green Bay, he was going to go out there and he was going to prove the Packers front office wrong.
Yep.
And look what he's doing.
He was going to prove them why they should have picked Justin Jefferson or literally anybody else. Well, not Justin Jefferson. Literally anybody else that wasn't Jordan Love. Anyone that could have helped him.
They could have drafted what I think Patrick Queen was available.
Yep, still. Patrick Queen they could have got. Or traded up and got Justin Jefferson.
And then the other thing is I mean, I understand both Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones are both in contract years, but they're both playing like the same way as Aaron Rodgers. Like, they feel slighted probably that the Packers used the 2nd round pick on A.J. Dillon.
Yep.
Who was he even active again for this game?
No, he's still out on the COVID list.
Still.
Yep. So you know how we were saying Derrick Henry should be the #1 running back?
Yep.
Out of all points scored in every single person in the NFL, Dalvin Cook ranks 10th. He is the highest non-kicker on this list.
That's why I said, is he the number 1 or the number 2? Because
see, that's the thing, dude. That's crazy because he could potentially be the number 1. But the thing, again, pause. Again, with Dalvin Cook, so he was overranking Derrick Henry in touchdowns and yards. With Dalvin Cook, though, the thing with him is he's not consistent. Dalvin Cook has like a big game, and then maybe he has another big game after that, and then he didn't have a big game, and then he had a big game, then another big game, then a no big game, then an okay game, and then not a good game. It's like, I mean, unless you count a 2-touchdown game with 50 yards rushing, a good game, but like he'll break out for 180 yards and a touchdown, 130 and 2 touchdowns, 163 and 3 touchdowns, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, 115 and a touchdown. It's like,
but what if he got the same amount of carries as Derrick Henry, though?
Yeah, it's a totally different story.
Because he is averaging more yards per carry than Derrick Henry.
Yeah. But I mean, that's just the difference between the two teams, though. Derrick Henry gets more carries because that's how Tennessee likes to run their ball, or how they like to run their offense. If a Minnesota did, well, actually, now I'm looking at it, Derrick Henry's only had one game this year where he's had over 30 carries. Dalvin Cook has had 1, 2, 30 carry games. But also, some of these games, Dalvin Cook got hurt, too. And he also didn't play a full game because he was hurt.
Yeah.
So.
Do you know what's really weird about looking at the rushing stats? Do you have it up?
No, I did, though. I can look at it again.
James Robinson being number 3 on that list.
Yeah.
That's a I mean,
he's a burner.
He undrafted, right? Undrafted free agent this year, rookie.
Yes.
Well, I don't understand. Like, it seems like year in and year out, there's always that one rookie that is like near the top of the league in rushing.
Well, you think of it this way: James Robinson was competing with Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette said, "I hate Jacksonville," so he was outie. Jacksonville's like, "All right, well, we're not gonna go grab Devontae Freeman because we have faith in this young guy, James Robinson." James Robinson comes out, tears it up. It was him and Devine Ozigbo going at it for carries for the season. Ozigbo hasn't carried the ball once, and he's been active all year. And he's a second-year player. And then they got Dare, but Dare is a special teams back. He doesn't carry the ball much. So.
And when I think of Dare, when I remember him in the Badgers, he wasn't even like a running back. I feel like he was more used on the third downs and more of a pass catching back than anything.
Yeah. Yeah, the rushing this year is weird. You got the fourth, and you got Kyler with 10 rushing touchdowns, and Cam Newton tied with Gurley and Josh Jacobs with 9. So it's like, it's weird. Man, I feel like
I don't love NFL though.
We really lit up the field on NFL on this podcast today so far.
There's not a lot to talk about right now with everything. Like, NBA hasn't started yet. We still get another couple weeks for that, and
yeah,
baseball just ended. I mean, you get the only thing right now good that we got going on beside we got college football and basketball, but a lot of college games are getting canceled.
Speaking of college basketball, the Badgers won 82-42 against Green Bay today. Not a surprise. I knew they were going to win, but didn't know they were going to put up 82. A nice outing from Potter, putting up 14. Reverse Ford putting up 13.
Tyler Wall put up 15. I think he had 15 rebounds.
Yep, 15 rebounds, 11 points. So he had a double-double. That was a good game from him.
And I really like that Badger team. You know, it's so surprising when you look at college basketball. It's always, who's the better conference, Big Ten, ACC.
Yeah.
The Big Ten has 3 teams in the top 5.
Yeah.
And Badgers are 4th. I think Iowa's 3rd, and then Illinois is 5th. So that's nice to see a lot of love for the Big Ten and college basketball. Actually, Michigan State today, just a little while ago, beat Duke.
Yeah, I just saw that.
75-69. So that's nice to see. I like to see when Duke loses. So
yeah, it's weird because I feel like that they haven't had any conference games yet for the Big Ten. Interesting. Wonder when those come out.
what'd you say?
They haven't had any Big Ten conference games yet. The first Big Ten conference game is oh no, they did today. Michigan State and Duke. What am I saying?
That's not you talking about. That's not conference.
Wait, why is it saying conference games? I looked up Big Ten.
I know when I looked at I watched the Badger game the other day, they were saying that the Badgers, who they open up against?
Oh, it's just showing people in the conference that are playing
Nebraska.
games.
That's their first conference game. It's December 21st. They still have. They got Marquette next.
Louisville and
Friday.
UNI. Yikes.
So they got Marquette, who just lost. Obviously, you predicted that. You predicted Marquette was going to lose. They did lose.
Mm-hmm.
So they got them next on Friday. Then they got the ACC Big Ten Challenge against Louisville and then Northern Iowa before they enter into.
Then they go right away from Nebraska to Michigan State.
You see the date on that game? Christmas Day.
Oh, Michigan State on Christmas Day.
Okay, so here we go. We just talked about that.
You got Mr. Hauser on us.
Should we talk about something else about Christmas Day? We can't let this go. If we don't, we can't just talk about just football.
Oh yeah, that's right. Talking about the Bucks.
NBA came out with their the Christmas Day schedule today. So let me pull that up here. Some good games. So we have. Where is it? I wish I had it. I had a nice thing.
It's not showing them on ESPN for me.
For the Christmas Day games?
Yeah.
I know it was on Bleacher Report.
Unless it's on NBA's website.
I just wish I had the entire list.
Yeah, it's not showing on NBA's website.
Miami is going to be hosting the Pelicans, and that's the first game. The second game of the day is the Warriors are going to be in Milwaukee playing the Bucks, which, like I told you, my two favorite teams going up against each other on Christmas. That is awesome. Then it is the Nets going to TCD Garden to play the Celtics. Luka and the Mavs against LeBron and AD. Well, I should just say LeBron right now because AD hasn't re-signed officially, but the Lakers. And then rounding it out is the Clippers and the Nuggets. I mean, that's some pretty good games, I feel like, for Christmas Day. Good way to start the NBA season.
Yep.
Excited. I can't wait till basketball is back up.
Yeah, that'll be nice to see again. Some nice basketball games up in here. Be able to watch that.
What was your honest opinion of the city uniform?
I think it's pretty good.
See, I like how everybody else's they showed them somebody wearing it. They haven't really I haven't seen a picture of anybody on the Bucks wearing theirs.
No.
Like I'm looking here. The Pistons dropped theirs. They got the pinstripes. They had Malcolm Brogdon modeling that one. I don't know what to think about Miami's.
Yeah, it reminds me of Grand Theft Auto Vice City a little bit.
I mean, I'm honestly not a huge fan of that one. And I wish there was more black in the Bucks jersey.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'd have to see someone, like, instead of putting Chris Middleton's jersey right there, they could have easily had Middleton wear it.
Wow, that's gonna be crazy because that Brooklyn game on Christmas Day, that's gonna be both Kyrie and Kevin Durant. Oof, that'll be interesting. Brooklyn against Boston. And they're in Boston. Oh, that'll be weird for Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, I feel it. Well, I mean, no fan's going to be at the game probably. So, I mean, I haven't heard of any other team's stance on fans in the arenas except for I know Milwaukee said they weren't going to be having fans, but I'm guessing that's how most of the NBA is going to be. But hopefully, by the time the playoffs roll around, there's back to normal.
1:30 for the Bucks game, noon for the Pelicans game, or 11 o'clock. I'm reading these in Central Time. 4 o'clock for the Celtics and Nets, 7 for the Mavs Lakers, 9:30 for the Clippers and Nuggets. Why did the Clippers and Nuggets get primetime game? What? No, because no, they're in Denver. What?
Still, they're
like the Lakers should have that spot.
Obviously, the NBA wants the Mavericks and the Lakers as that real primetime spot.
Yeah, I guess.
And then you put the other late game, the other West game out there because it doesn't make sense to have the Bucks or the in Boston hosting a late game like that.
Right.
Did you know that? Did you watch the Pat McAfee show at all today?
I did not. Nope.
Oh, I won't surprise. Should I surprise it?
Like no.
You plan on watching it?
Yeah, I'll watch it.
Oh, be surprised in what you see when Rodgers comes on.
All right, I will. Oh, well, I'm looking at these city jerseys. Look pretty nice. Brooklyn Nets going back to the classic look. Nice. All right, well, I think that about honestly probably wraps up what we got here. I mean, we really only planned to do football, so the fact that we got some basketball in here is pretty nice. Got some college sports in. Do what we could.
NBA for releasing the schedule to give us something to talk about.
Yeah, for real, and the nice city jerseys. That was cool too. But I mean, hey, it was another successful episode of the podcast. Yep. Again, shout out to everybody who shares this, watches it, listens to it. And it is available on the website, 3sportpodcast.com. It is also available on iTunes. It's available on YouTube. It's available on SoundCloud. So go out, share it, watch it, listen to it, do what you can, whatever you have for an option. I appreciate it. Austin appreciates it. We put in a lot of work for this, so it's really cool to see everyone's support.
Yeah, appreciate very fun to do too. I remember talking to my parents this week, and thanks for allowing me to do this with you, man.
Oh, not a problem. Love doing it. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna end her off there. Depending on how this Wednesday night football game goes, we might potentially consider doing a weekend podcast. We'll see how that we'll see what happens with that. If not, we'll be back here next Tuesday. Thank you, Austin, for coming out here. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And if you guys have any inputs on, those of you through the that are listening to the audio version, you can also let us know by commenting on YouTube or commenting on the SoundCloud post or even on the Facebook page or whatever. Do you like the Zoom, like the way we did it today? We did it on Zoom. So for those of you who weren't watching it, you're listening to an audio. I had video going the whole time, and we just did Zoom rather than having us in the same building using my microphone setup that I have. If you thought this was better, or if you don't really care, input's nice. Just kind of like we're just kind of tossing stuff up, seeing what works best. So,
also, if you guys have anything for us that you want us to talk about, feel free to leave some comments, and
absolutely,
we'll definitely get some of those topics brought up.
Yes, please. Anyone, literally anyone, close friends, family, anybody, please. If you have anything you want us to talk about, if you have any sort of questions, any sports questions, anything that you want us to like debate, talk about, anything like that, comment on Facebook, comment on the YouTube channel, anything. We'll try to get it out there. Let us know too if you want to remain anonymous or if you want us to be credited. We're probably gonna not. We're probably gonna like say who it was unless you specify otherwise, because that's just the normal way of doing it. But you know, we really appreciate some feedback. We'll just say that nonetheless.
Yeah, being as we're brand new to this, I'm brand new to this. I know you have your YouTube channel.
Yeah, podcasting though, it's a bit different. So I haven't really done podcasting, so and I mean, when it comes to like my YouTube channel, I always like getting feedback. So any feedback you guys have, be great to let us know. We appreciate it. And I think that you guys could probably get more used to seeing Austin on the podcast, because I feel like it's going to be probably a regular thing. I think it'll be I don't think I'll ever be doing it by myself again. I'll tell you that much. But I know of other people who have wanted to come on, so we might have other people on. I think doing a Zoom thing like this with multiple people will be the best bet for doing multiple people. But yeah, for the most part, you can consider Austin as being like one of the like main people on this podcast. So
yeah, appreciate it. I love doing this with you, man. Talking sports all the time at work, so
yeah.
Better way than doing it right here.
Because when we're at work, there's not always a lot of time to talk, so we get it out here. All right, well, that's gonna call it for the show for today. Again, thank you guys for coming out. Any feedback, let us know on Facebook, let us know on YouTube. Really appreciate it, and thank you guys so much. See you later.